Welcome to this explainer. You know, it's pretty wild to think about the invisible ghost in the machine. Have you ever just looked at a laptop or a smartphone and wondered how a lifeless pile of metal, plastic, and glass actually does anything useful? Well, the truth is, it doesn't matter if you have the most expensive, hyper-fast processor or the absolute highest resolution screen in the world. Without one absolutely crucial, completely unseen element, it's literally just an expensive paperweight. Today, we're decoding that exact invisible element, software.
Okay, let's quickly run through our roadmap for today. 1. The invisible director, software. 2. System versus application software. 3. Unsung heroes, utility software. 4. The ultimate boss, OS. And finally, number 5, ace your board exams.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the invisible director, software.
At its core, software is really just a set of programs or instructions that tells the computer exactly what to do. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but it's entirely responsible for controlling the operation of your computer's hardware. Literally every single action your machine takes is directed by these instructions, which are, of course, meticulously developed by programmers. Without software, the hardware has absolutely no idea how to operate. It is the fundamental prerequisite for any computer to do anything at all.
Moving right along to Section 2, system versus application software.
So imagine your computer is a massive company. We can basically split this vast software world into two main departments. Think of system software as the factory floor management. It controls the hardware, manages the resources, and it mostly runs quietly in the background, just making sure the building doesn't collapse. Then you have application software. Now these are your specialist workers. They don't really care about the hardware itself. Their sole job is to perform specific tasks directly for you, the user. And unlike system software, they only run when you actively start them up.
And that application software actually branches out even further, depending on how specialized the task is. On one hand, we've got general-purpose software. These are the tools you use every single day for everyday work. Think Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or just your standard web browser. On the other hand, we have specific purpose software. These are highly specialized systems designed for a very particular task. You obviously wouldn't use a web browser to run a hospital, right? For that, you'd need a hospital management system. The same goes for payroll systems, railway reservation systems, or banking software. They have one specific job and they do it expertly.
Which brings us to Section 3, unsung heroes, utility software.
So what about the folks keeping the building clean and safe? Enter utility software. This is technically a subcategory of system software, but it totally deserves its own spotlight. Utility software functions as the janitorial and security staff of the computer. Its entire purpose is to maintain, protect, and improve the overall performance of your machine. It works tirelessly behind the scenes to keep the whole operation running smoothly and securely, basically making sure your applications have a pristine environment to work in.
Let's look at some of these vital maintenance tools in action. First up, your antivirus. That's the security guard, constantly scanning for and detecting malicious threats. Next, disk cleanup is your janitor, automatically sweeping away unwanted temporary files that just clog up your system. You've also got disk defragmenters to organize your hard drive for faster access, backup utilities to ensure you never lose your important data, and file compression software to save valuable storage space. By utilizing these tools, you're actively boosting your system's performance and its lifespan.
Next up, Section 4, the ultimate boss, OS. We've talked about the workers and the security, but who's the ultimate boss? Well, that would be the operating system, or OS. The OS is the premier system software that acts as the primary interface between you and the computer hardware. Put simply, you don't speak the hardware's language, and the hardware definitely doesn't speak yours. The operating system acts as your real-time translator. Whether you're running Microsoft Windows, macOS, Linux, or Android on your phone, the OS provides the essential platform that allows every other piece of software to function.
This CEO has an incredibly intense multitasking checklist, juggling 6 major functions simultaneously. First is process management, managing all running programs and allocating CPU time so your computer doesn't freeze. Second, memory management, tracking memory usage and assigning it where it's needed most. Third, file management, creating, storing, and organizing all your files and folders. Fourth, device management, using device drivers to control your keyboard, mouse, and printer. Fifth, security management, protecting your data through user authentication and passwords. And finally, providing the user interface, which is how you actually see and interact with the machine.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, ace your board exams. So,
Questions asking you to differentiate between software types are incredibly common, especially for those 3 mark spots. If you're asked to compare system and application software, focus heavily on the dependency. System software is absolutely required for the computer to operate at all. Application software, however, can only be used after the OS is installed. And always include a clear example for each, like Windows for system and MS Word for application.
Another frequent 3-mark variation asks you to differentiate between utility software and application software. Just remember the roles we discussed earlier. Utilities maintain the computer itself and improve its performance. They look inward at the machine. Applications perform user tasks and solve specific user problems. They look outward toward you. Contrasting an antivirus program with Microsoft Excel is a foolproof way to show the examiner you've absolutely nailed this fundamental difference.
Now, for the 5-mark long answer questions, you really need to be prepared to synthesize this information. First, practice drawing a neat diagram of the software classification tree. Start with software at the top, branch it into system and application, and then subdivide those into OS, utilities, general purpose, and specific purpose. Second, memorize those 6 heavy lifting functions of the operating system we just covered. Actually, scratch that. Don't just list them. Make sure you can write one clear sentence explaining what process, memory, file, device, security management, and user interface actually mean in practice.
As we wrap up this explainer, you now understand the invisible director that makes your hardware sing and the hierarchy of software running behind your screen. But I want to leave you with a provocative thought to ponder before we tackle our next topic. We know the OS provides a user interface so we can communicate with the hardware, but how exactly are you talking to it? Are you a commander typing out lines of rigid code in a command line interface? Or are you a pointer seamlessly clicking through visual folders in a graphical user interface? Think about how the way we interact with our machines fundamentally shapes what we can achieve with them. Until next time, keep exploring the systems that run our world.